Hello, students. Today we'll continue with the lesson The Heavenly Parasol. So, if you have not watched the first part, I request you to watch that part first and then watch this. So, let's begin. The king glanced towards a bundle on the temple porch and presumed it to be the sacrificed boy. His heart was torn with confusion and compassion. So, till now, we had seen that the king had seen a human sacrifice going in front of the temple. And when he glanced, that is, he looked and he presumed that it was the sacrificed boy. So, his heart was torn with confusion and compassion. He was confused. He was broken. Like, how can a simple boy be killed or sacrificed? This man, whom you desire to protect, continued the barbarian, was wandering about, alone and friendless, in the forest. Is he of more value to you than this child with whom many persons are connected? So the barbarian looks at the king and he tells, this man whom you desire to protect, the one you want to protect, was wandering about. He was just roaming here and there. He's alone and he's friendless. Nobody is there for him in this world. He was just roaming in this forest. He is more important to you than the child with whom many persons are connected. With my son, many people are ready to give their lives for him. And you're trying to save a person who doesn't have anyone. So he is more important to you? The victim sat crying on the ground, a look of terror on his face. Tears fell from the barbarian's eyes. Sir, tell me what to do, he cried. I cannot see my son suffer this way. The victim sat crying on the ground. Now, who is the victim there? The one who was about to get sacrificed. So he was just sitting in a corner and was crying. Even the barbarian was crying and he looked at the king and he told, Sir, tell me what to do. You tell me what should I do. I cannot see my son suffer this way. My son is about to die. I cannot see him in that way. I want to save him. So you tell me what should I do. The king spoke firmly. Do not be distressed. I will save your son as well as this victim. I offer my body in sacrifice to Chandika. Kill me, O barbarian. May these two persons live. The king, Meghavahana, he was ready, so he spoke something very firmly, and it was very correctly that he spoke. And what did he say? You do not be distressed. What is distressed? You don't be sad. I will save your son as well as the victim. That is, I'll save your son as well as that boy. He said, instead of them, I offer my body in sacrifice. So he's telling to the barbarian, kill me and save those two people's life. You don't kill these two. You can kill me. I will offer my body. The barbarian, struggling between incredulity and fear, took a step backwards. Sir, you are the king. Your life should be protected at all times. Do not pity this victim. Let him die. His life is of no significance. Now the barbarian, he was struggling between incredulity. What is incredulity? Showing disbelief. He couldn't believe it. And with fear, what did he do? He took a step backward. He was scared. He could not kill his king. He moved backwards and he said, Sir, you are the king. Your life should be protected all the time. We cannot kill you. I cannot kill you. So you do not pity this victim. You don't feel sorry for this person. He doesn't have anybody in his life. Let him die. His life is of no significance. That is, his life doesn't have any value. So why are you so worried about him? Don't worry. The king shook his head impatiently. If I can use my body to stop a killing, why should I not? Do not speak another word. Kill me. The barbarian hung his head and made no move to take his sword. Now the king was very impatient and he shook his head and he said, if I cannot use my body to stop a killing, then what's the use? I can use my body to save someone else. Then why shouldn't I use it? Do not speak another word. He's telling to barbarian, don't waste time. You kill me. But what does the barbarian do? He hung his head and made no move to take his sword. That is, he put his head down. He couldn't kill his king. And he did not do anything to take his sword. He kept quiet there. If you cannot bring yourself to strike at me, I will use my own sword for the purpose. So saying, the king drew out his sword. The barbarian and the victim watched in horror. As Meghavahana was about to strike himself, his head was covered with divine flowers of exquisite color and perfume, and someone held back his arm. The king whirled around in surprise and beheld a person of heavenly appearance. Then he realized that the barbarian, the victim, and the ailing boy had vanished. So now what does Meghavahana say? If you cannot bring yourself to strike at me, I will use my own sword for the purpose. So he's telling, if you cannot kill me, I will use my own sword and do it. I don't want your help. So saying, the king drew out his sword. That is, he removed his sword. And the barbarian and the victim, they both were just watching Meghavahana in fear, in horror. As Meghavahana was about to strike himself, he was ready to kill him, the head was covered with divine flowers of different colors and perfume. So someone held his hand back, and the king whirled around. What is whirled around? He turned around in surprise and he saw a person of heavenly appearance. Then he realized that the barbarian, the victim, and the ailing boy, all three had vanished. That is, they had disappeared. A divine being addressed the bewildered king. I am Varuna, the lord of the seas. I have come to reclaim my parasol that was carried away from my town by the powerful Bhauma, the father of your father-in-law. It has powers to quell calamities in my land. I created this illusion to test your nobility of mind. You are truly compassionate and noble. Now that divine being was who? So he says something and he says, I am Varuna, the lord of the seas. So he is telling that the divine being who was there, that person was Varuna, the lord of the seas. And he tells, I have come to reclaim my parasol that was carried away from my town by the powerful Bhauma, the father of your father-in-law. So he is telling, I have come here to take back my parasol that was given to you from your father of your father-in-law. And it has power to quell calamities in my land. That is, to finish all the calamities in my land. And I created this illusion just to test your nobility. I wanted to know, are you really good? And he tells, you are truly compassionate and noble. You are very kind. I know that. Meghavahana bowed before the divine being and returned the parasol reverently to him. Then he asked hesitantly, O Lord, encouraged by your praise, I wish to ask for a boon. I need help to cross the waters so that I may conquer the island. So what does Meghavahana do in reply? He bowed before the divine being. That is, he bowed down in front of Varuna and returned the parasol reverently to him. Immediately he gave the parasol back to him. Then he asked hesitantly. So what does Meghavahana do? He asked the Lord something. So he says, O Lord, encouraged by your praise, that is, whatever praise you have told me, that I am good, I am kind, I am noble, all this, I wish to ask for a boon. What is boon? A wish. I want a wish from you. I want a help from you. And what is that help? I need help to cross the waters so that I may conquer the island. That is, he was thinking about how to cross Lanka. So he wanted that help. He needed help to cross the waters, to cross the sea. Varuna smiled. So be it. When you desire to cross the ocean, I will pull away the water. Then he disappeared with the parasol. So Varuna just smiled and he said, "Okay, fine, be it. When you desire to cross the ocean, I will pull away the water." So he said, as soon as you go and step towards the ocean, the water will be pulled away by me. And then he disappeared with a parasol. He took his parasol and he vanished, disappeared. The following day, Meghavahana assembled his troops on the shore. The waters swelled and crashed on the sand, and the soldiers trembled at its might. Meghavahana rode forward and plunged into the foaming ocean. All at once the water parted, and the king, smiling at his troops' astonishment, beckoned them to follow him. In this wondrous manner, Meghavahana reached Lanka and won over its king Vibhishana in the form of friendship. So the next day, what happened? Meghavahana, he assembled his entire army, the troops, on the shore, and the waters were swelling and it crashed on the sand. It was heavy tides. So the soldiers were scared. They trembled. They did not know what's going to happen. So Meghavahana rode forward and plunged into the foaming ocean. That is, with his horse, he moved towards the ocean. And all at once the water parted. That is, the water was pulled away. It made a path. And the king, smilingly, he just looked at his members, the troops, and they also followed him. So in this wondrous manner, Meghavahana reached Lanka and he won over its king Vibhishana in the form of friendship. He became friend with that king and he won that island. On returning home, Amritaprabha welcomed him and then looked around in confusion. "Where is the parasol, my lord?" she asked. "It never leaves your side." "It was never mine to keep," he answered. "Yet the mark of favor shown to me by its divine owner will guide me through my life." As he spoke, the skies darkened as if the parasol was casting its shadow over him, even from its heavenly abode. Now, after he returned back home, Amritaprabha, his wife, she welcomed him and she was looking at him in confusion. And she asked, "Where is the parasol, my lord? You had the parasol when you went, but it's not there. It never leaves your side. It's always there with you. Where did it go?" So what does Meghavahana say? "It was never mine to keep." So he says, it was not mine to keep. Somebody had given it to me, so it was taken back by the owner again. But whatever it has given to me till now, I will always have that owner, that is Varuna. Lord Varuna will always guide me through my entire life. It's not only just that parasol, but the owner itself is guiding me. As he spoke, so when he was speaking this, the skies immediately darkened. It was as if the parasol which was there in the skies above, in the heaven, from there also it was casting its shadow over Meghavahana.